The Minnesota fraud scandal is getting worse and worse by the day, now rising to billions and billions of dollars. Will the FBI, will the DOJ get involved in a way we have never seen before? Well, there's one thing we know, and that's Nick Shirley, the independent journalist who's doing all this, is now hated by the legacy media in ways you can't even comprehend. We've got the receipts, we've got the clips, we'll show you them nipping at Nick Shirley and hoping to draw blood. Hello, folks. Welcome back. It is a pleasure as always, and happy New Year's Eve. The end of 2025 is here, but it's the beginning of yet another opportunity for excellence, and 2026 is going to be great. Today, we'll tell you what's going on. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're all furious at one independent journalist who just made them all look very, very silly. It's full freak out time for the legacy media, and it's all because they didn't get the scoop because they don't really do anything anymore. They're just talking heads. But Nick Shirley, a 23-year-old, is out there doing what he needs to do to find out the biggest scandal, perhaps the biggest system of fraud in the history of the United States. And you say, oh, come on, Pro, the stakes can't be that high. This is such a large amount of fraud that it is growing the GDP of Somalia, the entire country, off of our Uncle Sam bucks going to Minnesota and then flowing out to Somalia. Chief Nerd says, why do you think local reporters weren't doing the work that you did? Nick Shirley. Well, you know what? Actually, let's just play it and see what he has to say. Here is the man himself doing the undercover work.
Nick, when I was your age, I used to watch all the local news stations, and every local news operation had a guy, a roving reporter, who would go around and find waste, fraud, and abuse. Are there local reporters like that in your area, and why do you think they weren't doing the work that you did?
I don't know. They're scared of being called nowadays because it's Somalians that are committing this fraud. People are scared to be called Islamophobic, racist, in which has nothing to do with what's going on, because fraud is fraud. It doesn't matter if it's a black person, white person, Asian person, Mexican. Fraud is fraud, and we work too hard simply just to be paying taxes and enabling fraud to be happening.
Yeah, I was talking with a friend of mine this morning after we went to the gym, and we were talking about the fact that we just got it wrong, man. How do you become a millionaire in the United States? Don't start a business. Don't save up your money. Don't invest in the stock market wisely. No! Start a daycare in Minnesota. That's how you become a millionaire. Easy. Nobody taught us that in school. Wall Street Ape says, wow, MSNBC is broadcasting to all of America that the Somalian fraud in Minnesota is made up. Here's how msnow is handling this. And remember, there's a lot of jealousy involved in the way all of this is going down. Hang on, folks. I'll show you. It's not just MSNBC/msnow. It's not just CNN. It's even your friends at Fox News.
Sure. So these were funds that were meant to go to help feed hungry people during the COVID pandemic, to help keep people in their homes who were at risk of homelessness. So first of all, if there is fraud there, that should be fully investigated, no matter where it is, whether it's in a Democratic-led state, a Republican-led state. I mean, let's pull back. So absolutely, it should be investigated. The question is, why is this a priority in a different kind of way? The politicization of the DOJ and the FBI is undeniable.
What? The DOJ and the FBI haven't done anything. They're great at sitting on their keisters so far. They've done nothing. There's just a dude with a camera and a friend going out and uncovering all this. And again, why is this a focus? Because the level of fraud is so insane that it's making it rain in Somalia. Not that way. It's actually growing their GDP by like 25% over the last 3 years. Your money, your taxes, going to enrich Somalians. They don't have to do anything. They just get paid. Western Lensman has this one. We're going to CNN next. How's it being covered? Well, here's CNN.
Because this is about politics. I get that. Politics is politics. But, honestly, you knock on the door of a daycare center and you're like, let me in, let me in. What do you expect people to do? In some of those cases.
By the way, what really happened is they knocked on the door and said, hey, we've been paying attention here, and past weeks, no kids. You got 100 kids listed on here, and you made $3 million off of taxpayers. Any chance there might be a kid ever in this place? Door slammed shut.
There were children in there. What do you want people to do in that situation? Open the door and say, come on in, when they know that the Somali community is under attack, is being threatened every single day? What is going on here?
I did not realize the Somali community in Minnesota was under attack every single day. What a tragedy.
Are they in the waters around Somalia? What's wrong?
Nick Shirley is under attack, and it's even coming from Fox News. Jessica Tarlov with this one on the 5. Here's her explanation for why this just can't be true.
Nick Shirley's reporting there's no way that this kid walking around uncovered $100 million worth of fraud on his own. There have been tons of people working behind the scenes quietly, including independent local journalists that have been exposing this. I don't know about the veracity of every single thing that he's gone and seen that's being debated online, but obviously there's a huge problem here. It does Democrats no favors to get partisan about this and to dig in and say, oh, it absolutely couldn't be happening because it's my team that this happened.
You just said it can't be happening. He could not have. That is the best switcherooski I've ever seen. What a 360. What a 180.
That is legacy media not wanting to believe that a new media independent journalist scooped them all.
Yeah, well, they don't do any of this anymore. They don't investigate anything anymore. They just drive narrative. And you don't have to go out and get on the beat. You don't have to get on the street to do narrative. You just sit in your comfy office and you make up something. What is it today? What's the talking point for today? What's the new angle we're supposed to take? They don't have to go out there. This guy actually did. He gets the story, and legacy media is losing their minds. Lauren, in just a minute, I'm going to show you the outcome for Nick Shirley. He can't basically go outside anymore in Minnesota. It has gotten crazy now, the anger and the angst against him. He's going to need security. But you know what? He's uncovered something that the legacy media had no interest in. Billions of dollars. Folks, fraud. And the GDP, the gross domestic product of Somalia, $10 billion. We're in the billions of dollars of fraud, and the GDP of Somalia is growing and growing as the money is flowing out of Minnesota, out of Tim Walz, into a third world country. Lauren, your thoughts?
Well, a lot of what we're talking about with the media here is the worst kind of credentialism. And
yes.
I hate that in any kind of field when you think that you can dismiss somebody simply because they're not part of your cloistered club. Reporting especially so, because it's one of those fields where anybody can investigate anything. Now, I think if you're going to report something publicly, you have to be careful about what you're doing, and you have to make sure that what you're saying is factual. But it sounds like what he's been doing is researching who's been going in and out of these facilities and finding out there is nobody there, and that should raise questions. And everybody in the media should be interested in that. One of the things that I've been hearing today is that there's also being questions raised about my own state and whether that is going on here as well. And so I'm hoping that this investigation broadens out beyond Minnesota, because I suspect you're going to find a lot of this going on. And there's going to be a lot of angry taxpayers when they start realizing just how badly we're getting ripped off.
And exactly, Lauren, how bad is this that we were all taught? The way to get ahead was to work hard, to be steady, to be consistent, to be reliable, to do all the things you're supposed to do, to find an area of work that not everybody can do, and to go out there and just get at the grindstone. And it turns out, no, you needed to start a fake NGO, and the government was just going to make you be a millionaire, baby. You can go anywhere. You can be anything you want to be, if only you'll fake a couple kids inside a warehouse somewhere. So yeah, I think taxpayers are going to be furious. Meanwhile, there's fury aimed at Nick, and here's what it says from Eric Doherty. Wow. Somalis angrily mobbing Nick Shirley and David as they tried to find a company called Advanced Mobility. Here's now, as the media sit in their comfy studios and couches, the legacy types, the Going Extinct Dinosaur Media, who, by the way, Nick Shirley has, I believe, one of the biggest X posts of all time. It's been viewed millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of times. So I don't care if it's in the New York Times. I'm sorry. X is the place for news, period, and YouTube. Well, here's how Nick is handling this. Remember, though, the legacy media types that are losing their salaries and their jobs, sitting in the AC and opining, telling you this kid can't do anything right. Here's what he's having to face now in the real world.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
And by the way, folks, if you want to cover the kiddos' ears, there will be some language in this one, but we have to present it to you so that you get the accuracy. Here it is.
Get the fuck out. the fuck out of here. You cannot come in here. We don't care. We don't know where it is. Get out. That's not your job. We don't know that. Get out. He's recording. Get out of here.
So that is Nick Shirley and his team. If they even enter a building now in the Somalian community, how they're treated and told to get out as everybody turtles down.
Guys are wearing balaclavas. That's, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Totally normal behavior. So anyway, guys, I think the bigger and the broader story that we need to focus on here is the legacy media completely up in arms because they don't do this anymore. They haven't in decades. And so they're being shown up in much the same way that James O'Keefe was doing this to them. And they never, ever, ever wanted to show anything. And, you know, you can take issue with some of the things that James O'Keefe did. You can say, well, I don't like his tactics, or I don't think this story was the best, or that was the worst, whatever. Bottom line is they wouldn't put him on TV. And he was working to do this kind of thing. Tim Pool, back when he was doing this, remember he went, I believe he went to Norway or Sweden and did an expose on what was happening in some of those communities with the inflow of immigration out of third world countries. Up until he became a huge thing on YouTube, they didn't want him on either because of that. And this is how the legacy media so often reacts. They say, oh, you've done the thing that everybody knows we're supposed to do, therefore we will cancel you. And in this case, guys, I don't think they can. I think X has taken over. Ron, your thoughts on X becoming the location for news today?
Golly, yeah, it's it really is. I mean, because X under Elon Musk's leadership became basically an open forum for open discussion for the most part, and then people can share their thoughts without worry about the actual forum itself, X, pushing back, right? So, but the whole Nick Shirley situation, this needs to be investigated.
Yes, I would say it definitely needs to be investigated with billions of dollars.
So on a much smaller scale, somebody who I personally know of somebody, I'm acquainted with somebody who committed COVID fraud with money. And this individual is behind bars right now today in prison. And so when this thing happens, and of course this was a much smaller scale, but when you're taking federal money fraudulently, and especially I'm sure that the redirection there, that person's was for personal gain, you know, it was just that, but for this Somali community money actually going to a foreign country, it's on a much greater scale, and it's kind of frightening that this thing could be happening simply because there is no oversight, simply because there is no investigation. Nick shouldn't be in any trouble whatsoever. What should happen is immediately some type of a protective institution with government, I don't care if it's police or whoever, need to protect this guy, and then the whole situation needs to be investigated, and like Lord said, probably across the country. There's no way that if it's happening in just one small local jurisdiction, it's not happening everywhere. So this is going to blow up and become, I think, a much bigger story in the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to be behind bars. Jonas, one of the interesting things about all this is that had Elon Musk never purchased X, we would never guess this is happening. And the reason is because it would have been shut down. It would have been posted on X or YouTube, and in 2 days or less, it would have been taken down because of whatever, and then totally silenced. And if you dared share it, you'd have been banned from the digital town square. Everything has changed, Jonas, because of Elon Musk purchasing X. And by the way, I believe it had a very positive effect on YouTube as well. What say you?
The whole thing is kind of hilarious, because the idea that a lot of people are taught in journalism, you know, the fourth estate here, is that they are supposed to speak truth to power. And what's the ultimate way to speak truth to power? Well, in their minds, it's to fight Republicans. And that is in whatever form Republicanism might take in the United States. We remember the blubbering that what was his name? Jim Acosta did when someone told him, wait to ask your question. And he acted like he was assaulted because the lady tried to take the microphone back after he was told to ask his question later. These are people who like to cosplay as if they are the resistance. And if real journalism shows up, they pee their pants. This is absurd. This is something that is meant to keep the establishment in power. They're cosplaying as if they are the rebellion, when really they are just like the resistance in the sequel trilogy. The resistance to what? Well, the established government. But the established government is also what you are? Well, but we're also the resistance. So this is nonsense when it comes down to it. Journalists, the media fighting against people who are exposing truth is the richest form of the regime taking power in the United States.
Guys, I want to finish it this way, and you're exactly right, Jonas. It would not surprise me at this point if there is $1 trillion of fraud happening across this country, because I believe, guys, that this is just the tip of the iceberg. I believe that when you get into California, I believe that when you get into some of the federal issues going on, I think that we have witnessed basically a country that is tremendously successful being siphoned away, leached upon by politicians who know that the only way they can keep winning is by doing this sort of thing. And then you've got a complicit media that's furious someone dared pull back the curtain. Guys, $1 trillion sound fair to you on just how much fraud there must be? An entire economy of fraud.
Yeah, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. Honestly, I think if this thread is pulled on, it's going to bring a lot of people down. Sorry, Lauren, I cut you off.
No, I think that the what we've seen already is breathtaking, but how easily it was done and how there's apparently been no oversight to any of this stuff. It's a gigantic indictment of our government officials. And I think the public ought to be starting to sharpen up some pitchforks when it comes to this stuff, because we're all paying for this, and it's having a serious impact on people's lives.
It's shameful, Lauren. It's shameful that a kid, and he's 23, I shouldn't call him a kid, but he was a teenager 3 years ago. It's shameful that he can walk up with a cell phone and uncover this. And our FBI and our DOJ and our news media, they do nothing. They do nothing.
They should be offering him a job right now for doing what he did. All of the news organizations should look at this kid as someone who is a rising star in what they're doing. This is the kind of thing they would celebrate. If he uncovered Republican corruption, they would be falling all over themselves to praise this guy as the second coming of Walter Cronkite. But because he's exposing the wrong kind of fraud, they hate him. And that just says more about the media than it does about anything else. The media, Hollywood, and the DNC are essentially one continuous amoeba of an organization that there is no particular difference except how good looking these people are. Oh, how good looking? Oh, we're going to send you to Hollywood. Not such a looker. We're going to send you to the DNC. Yeah. Really not good looking. Maybe we'll put you in some local offices.
They don't want him because what he did undid them. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew. And that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.